Welcome to this week's End of Days Update, coming to you from Tulsa, Oklahoma. We had such a great time in New England. Man, we were in 6 different churches. Seemed to be so hungry for the Word, so hungry for end times. We had a great time. Several churches we hadn't been to in almost 25 years, so we had a wonderful time. If you're anywhere near San Antonio or the New Braunfels, Texas area, this week will be Thursday, Friday, Saturday with Joey Roberts on his Generation Summits. Gosh, he has so many cool speakers. It'll be wonderful. I think Ross Roberts will be speaking. Scarlett Bishop, which is Scarlett Horton now, and many others. Jim Hockaday, I can't even name all of Jeremy Pearson's. Many ministers will be there. We'll have a great time. If you can come out, we'll have meetings morning, noon, and night. This will be fun. We're coming to you every week to look at the different things that point to the coming of the Lord, specifically the signs that happen kind of right after the rapture. We know the rapture is signless, but the second coming has many signs. So we kind of look at the things that are going to happen just after the catching away of the saints. There's a lot of weird preaching about the rapture that people don't believe it anymore, but Enoch was raptured, Elijah was raptured, Jesus was raptured, the church will be raptured. The purpose of the rapture is we're getting ready to hand off to the Jews for 7 years. And the purpose of the tribulation is for Israel to receive Jesus as their Messiah. It's just like Joseph. Jesus will reveal himself to his brethren right here at the very end. So all these things are a setup in the world right now for the coming of the Lord. Absolutely amazing things that are happening every single week. So it's overwhelming. I know it'll go very fast because it's hard to keep up with all the things that are happening. So let's pick up with what's happened around Israel this week. Probably the number one thing that I look at is the Temple Mount Institute and the Temple Mount. You had a lot of rioting going on at the Golden Gate, or the Gate of Mercy. It was closed off by Israel from the Palestinians. The Palestinians freaked out, but it was closed off by a court order a long time ago because an Islamic a state had been doing construction and excavations there, and they were ordered not to do that anymore. And so the Palestinians turned it into Israel's trying to keep Islam off the Temple Mount. No, it was closed on purpose. So Israel and Jordan came up with a solution, got that figured out yesterday, and then there were more clashes and more Palestinians got arrested there. But really, you're going to see pressure arise even more over the Temple Mount, because that's going to be the focal point, is going to be Jerusalem. So with that, you had way more stuff happening in Gaza. You had Gaza firing projectiles the last couple of days into southern Israel. You even had incendiary balloons happen again from Gaza into southern Israel. The rest of Israel is kind of freaking out about this, that nothing's happening about it. But on the northern front, now that's on the southern front in Gaza, but on the northern front, all kinds of things are happening. Remember, you had an airstrike on Iranian missiles right on the border of Israel this last week. And Russia didn't say a word about that because they turned all their missile batteries over to Iran. And that includes the S-300s that are involved in Lebanon. Now, that's a pretty big deal that Russia said we're giving them to Hezbollah, not to the country of Lebanon, but to Hezbollah, the terrorist organization. So a lot of stuff happening with that we'll get back to in a minute, but really the thing that I saw this last week was tons of anti-Semitism. I mean, you even had a protest against anti-Semitism in Paris yesterday, a huge outbreaking because some Jewish graves were desecrated with spray paint and everything. Now, this is kind of a response to what happened in Poland. There were some words spoken by Israel that were actually correct in the words that they said, and the Polish leaders got mad about it and kind of counteracted those things. So the conference that was going to be held in Israel was canceled. Several other countries pulled out. But you're really seeing a rise of anti-Semitism to the point that you're even seeing U.S. congresswomen coming out against Jewish thought patterns. And you haven't really seen a response from the Democrats that you thought you'd see to kind of not to condone them, but put a halt to their verbiage. Their verbiage is completely anti-Israel. It's just probably what we're going to see more and more and more as we approach the coming of the Lord. So it's just getting a little more blatant. Now with Iran, some wild stuff keeps happening there. Remember, they came out with that new missile that couldn't be detected, that flies lower than radar. And I'm kind of intrigued that Israel and the U.S. said they can't defend against it. But right now, Iran is really working hard to circumvent the sanctions that are against them from the U.S. They said publicly yesterday, we'll revert to terrorism and we'll revert to our nuclear capabilities to make sure we get our economy going again. So you have that happening with this was kind of wild. In the middle of all that, you had them coming out and talking about their 14,000 precision-guided missiles that they have are really only 250. They have 14,000, but they've not been able to retrofit their guidance system on only 250 of them. So that's probably why you haven't seen them bolder about a war with Israel. Now, they did say even this last week publicly, they're ready to take Israel off the map. So you're hearing verbiage of what we'll see right after the rapture of the church, and that is all-out war everywhere against Israel. So you're watching the setup for it right now. So we're very, very privileged. I like what Jesus said. He said, you can tell what the weather's going to be, but you don't know your hour of visitation. So he wanted us to know these things. So we get into this, even the rapture of the church is not an escape theology, it's a hustle theology. As you see all these things happening, you're all hands on deck. You have a hustle mentality because we're blessed. We're watching the world get ready for the entrance of the King. So always go back to the scripture. What's the scripture say? Number one, Israel made a nation. Number two, Jerusalem won back. Jesus said, the generation that sees those two events will not pass away till all is fulfilled. So that's us. But we have about 50 signs. That's two. You got the Hebrew language restored. You got the Ethiopian Jews brought back. You got the fertility of the land of Israel. You got the revival of the Roman Empire, which that's just amazing that stuff happened in Strasbourg, France the other day. You have the Capitol building in Strasbourg that's identical to the Tower of Babel. You have the Temple Mount Institute. They're ready to start having sacrifice. Remember, they dedicated the altar for the temple this last April. Didn't get arrested. The year before they got arrested. So all these groups are in position for what's going to happen after we leave. So it should give a wake-up call for the church that, man, Jesus is coming very soon. So you have all those tangible things. You got fish showing up in the Dead Sea. You got the red heifer being born on the land. Amazing that God said you'd see these things right before the coming of the Lord. So it's amazing. God said it, came to pass. God said it, came to pass. Many, many more things. Men will be lovers himself. We have selfie sticks. So you have all the things that the Bible said you'd see. Really, I think of Russia going into Crimea, Russia going into Ukraine, and Russia filling Syria with missile batteries and other equipment. That's probably a massive sign of what will happen with the Ezekiel 38 war. So you've got tons and tons and tons and tons of signs, and then you've gone to signals. You have blood red moons. People say, well, nothing happened on the blood red moons. They're indicators, just like when you turn your turn signal on. You're not turning, you're indicating you're about to turn. So the Lord's so sweet, he's got the heavens saying, I died for you, I'm coming back. Died for you, coming back. 4 blood red moons on Passover and Tabernacles. When's the last time you had that? 4 in a row called a tetrad. 1967 when Jerusalem was won back. 1948 when Israel's made a nation. 1492 when the Jews were kicked out of Spain. So you have these happening in a row like this. Actually, the gap between the last two was 19 years and 48 years. I told the Lord, so you're just showing off now. How wild is that? So then you had more. You had the Bethlehem star. How crazy. The first time in 2,000 years, Jupiter, Regulus, Venus came together at the birth of Jesus. The constellation was Virgo. This last year, the constellation was Leo. He's the lion of the tribe of Judah. First time in 2,000 years. So then you had Mercury do a flyby of the sun. Happens 5 times in a century. That went down directly over the Temple Mount at sundown. Crazy. Orion changed his instrument to hammer. He had hammer and sickle on the exact same day. So that's Russia's symbol. So God's showing Russia getting ready to go through the threshing floor. So we're privileged to watch all this happen. So what do? Help our local church, help our local pastor, get the message out. Jesus is coming so soon. My thinking is, how many signs do we need before we realize we're about to see the King face to face? What a wonderful season to be on the earth. This is it. The whole purpose of end time preaching is for great joy, great expectation, because he loves you so much. He can't wait to see you and wants you to have remotely as much joy as he has, because we're going to see him face to face. Wow. So make changes in your life. Be kinder. Be more merciful. Walk holy. Do everything you can to be as close as you can be just like Jesus, because that's who you are. As he is, so are we in this world. Have a blessed, awesome week. We'll look at what's happened this next week, and we'll come back next Wednesday, and we look forward to seeing you soon. God bless you.
Thanks for joining us today at the End of Days Update. If you'd like to be notified every time there's a new post, just go to the EDU at josephmorris.com and subscribe to receive email alerts. If these posts and updates have been a blessing to you, please consider making a one-time donation to help get the message out, or even becoming a monthly partner with Joseph Morris Ministries. Thanks again for tuning in to the EDU, and we'll see you next week.